Now it's time for Teacher Talk, James's thoughts and insights into teaching international students.
Hello, teachers, and welcome to Teacher Talk this week. And I'm very excited to discuss VR, virtual reality apps, and AR, augmented reality apps for the ESL classroom. Now, I love project-based learning and mobile learning. So my focus is always looking for some cool projects for students to do in the ESL classroom. So I have some apps here and some ideas with these apps that you can use in your classroom as kind of a trial for you. If you're new to AR and VR, these are some great apps to kind of get you started using this technology. So I want to talk about AR and VR apps. Now, just to make sure you guys are aware, virtual reality VR apps you need those goggles. You need the camera over your eyes, and you're immersed in that environment. So if your school doesn't have the VR goggles, then I would suggest asking them to check it out. And there's a great VR goggle set called Merge. And they're very cheap. I don't have the price on me, but I think it's like $20. I mean, it's so cheap. It's fantastic. So check that out if you're looking for some cheap goggles for your classroom. And AR, augmented reality, means kind of like the characters are right there on your phone, like Pokemon Go is AR. So I think you're all familiar with augmented reality apps. So let's start with augmented reality. The first app I want to discuss is BBC Civilizations. Now, this is a history app, so it is a great app for practicing past tense and creating narratives, perhaps, even describing images that for lower level students. So the Civilizations AR app lets the students kind of take a historical artifact, locate it, rotate it, resize it, and there's actually an X-ray function that allows them to go inside the historical item, and they even have a little description about its history. So it practices some of the listening as well. And they have over 30 different items. So each group or each student, you could do it in pairs, they could pick a different historical item and do a report for you. It could be an essay, perhaps, or they could do a report for the students. But they get a chance to play around in this world, which is really cool. And again, focusing on some of those past tenses or narratives, telling stories or describing photos. All of those would be really cool. All right, another app is MiCasa. MiCasa, AMIKASA, MiCasa AR. Now, this app is actually designed to help you before you buy a piece of furniture. So they help you kind of design the layout of your room. But in the ESL classroom, you could get the students to kind of redesign the entire school. All right, they could walk around with their iPhone or iPad camera and decide how to furnish the classroom or how to furnish the school and place different 3D models and of various items to see how they look. They also have the opportunity to change the wall color, so you could change the color of your walls, and they could discuss how to redesign the school, which is a really kind of cool real life activity. And augmented rooms that are created can be shared. So you can share what they create with the other students. So the students can show you their perfect school. Yeah, MiCasa. MiCasa is a cool one. All right, another augmented. This is our last augmented reality. Then I'll do some of the VR. Wallamy, WALLAME, Wallamy app. And I love this app. This is so cool. It lets you leave hidden messages in various locations around the world that can only be read by other people using the Wallamy app. So you could take a picture of a wall, a street, a sign, perhaps a building, a restaurant, maybe it's the subway, anything around your area, and you could create special messages on that app. And you can attach pictures to the areas that you've chosen, just to prove you were there. And this could be used for scavenger hunts. Yeah. It makes scavenger hunts truly amazing. Remember that you'd run around with paper and find those items wherever you place them. But you could do it with this AR app, and you could be a great way, especially for like orientation day. What a great orientation day activity where you can put images and pictures around your area so that students have to kind of find them. And those messages can be made, private as well. So the students using the app can see them. And so I think it's a really cool way to try to get the students out of the class and onto the street and getting them to use some of those, not use, but learn some of the area around them, which is really cool. All right, let's take a look at a couple of VR, virtual reality apps. And again, these are free. I love the company Discovery, Discovery Education. If you guys aren't following Discovery, you should be following them. Even though you're ESL teachers out there, you should be following Discovery. They have been doing for such a long time amazing, amazing work. Now, they have these science and exploration apps, and it lets you kind of explore the earth and explore science. And students can even pretend to be Survivor Man. Yeah, I love that TV show, Survivor Man. That's where, the man is dropped in the middle of Alaska or the middle of a desert or a middle of a forest, and he has just a few basic items to try to live and survive in that area. So it is such a cool app for students to kind of play around with and enjoy. And it's free, and they can go on adventures like, shark-infested shipwrecks, or, walking around some of the different streets in the world. So you can transport the students to different places. And then they can report back to you on what they've learned, what they've discovered, report back to the class as well. So it's a really, really cool activity. Now, another one is Tiny Eye. Tiny Eye. It's a virtual reality app. And, remember the game I Spy? I Spy with my little eye. I see a computer screen. Well, you can shrink down into kind of a tiny person and play this game with your students. Now, and you play the I Spy game. Now, this app is a little more geared for kids, but it could be a great warm-up activity for your adult students, having a little game of I Spy, especially for the lower level students. So the students have to find various hidden objects and treasures. And it's free with some other in-app purchases. All right, the last one that's also a VR app is InMind 2. It is it's nominated for a lot of different awards as one of the best kind of science and psychology. And remember those choose your destiny and choose your path games? You remember those books, go to page 2 if you think he's going to live, or go to page 4 if you think he's going to die, things like that. It's similar to that. But also it has an opportunity for you to travel inside the brain of a teenage boy named John and kind of explore the emotions that affect his everyday decisions. Yeah, so the students are kind of, John, and they make their way toward his destiny. But the students control his destiny, which is very cool. Now, again, a little more oriented for kids, but it could be used as a great, conversation activity and see what adult students choose for John. All right. Now, Just a word of advice. Remember, AR and VR is still new in education, all right, and is very much at the beginning stages of usage. But I do guarantee that if you start to bring in these apps for short activities, your students will be dazzled and your class will truly come to life. But once you start, your students will want more. So be prepared for that. You can't just bring in once and then leave it. You need to have a plan to bring in some of these apps. And I always recommend whenever you're bringing in new technology, new apps, that you bring it in first as a short activity. So 15, 20, 30-minute activity, and give your students an opportunity to play with the app. The first 10 minutes should be just playtime. Let them play around, let them have some fun, and then give them the assignment, because this is such new technology that oftentimes students haven't seen it as well as teachers. So while you've been getting familiar with it, once you present it to them, they are going to need time to play around, because it does bring out that inner child. So be prepared for that. And also, students will really love using these apps, and they will want more. So plan out 3 to 5 apps that you can bring in to your class, maybe once a week or twice a week to use in the class. Because once you start, they're going to want to do it more and more. And that is Teacher Talk for this week.
Have you downloaded the Study It ESL textbooks yet for your classroom? The Study It textbooks are the first ever digital and interactive textbooks. Once downloaded, Wi-Fi is no longer required. Each book contains video and audio exercises, detailed grammar keynotes, reading and writing assignments, and amazing speaking projects. Grammar, conversation, pronunciation, business English, and listening textbooks are available. Visit www.studyitbooks.com for more information.